So I'm going to get this out the way right away. I have probably got some of this wrong, but I spent my time gathering this data, gathering the statistics. Shout out to Cage Match, which is always a good source for these things, apart from those individuals that go crazy about it on the internet. But in terms of statistic, when it comes to their win-loss record, and don't worry, we'll get into it on every single entry, these are the best wrestlers from 2004 to 2024. So of course, we start in 2004, and you're gonna love this. This is the reason I started to do this, because somebody did message me about it. And the best wrestler, again, according to their win-loss ratio in 2004, bam, was Mordecai. It's so good because, as I have written down here, he had 22 matches and he had 21 wins, which is a win-loss percentage of 95.5%. Now, look, if you do go on there are some people that have like one match and they won that match, it was 100%. I try to go for people that have actually had a succession of matches in that year. So when you get to someone that you would consider more of a full-timer, surprise, surprise, who comes in at number 2? It's The Undertaker, with 57 matches and 52 wins, which gives him a 91.2% ratio. And 2004 was when he returned to the dead man gimmick, right? Which kind of makes sense. Because somebody's dead, how the flub are you going to beat them? So in 2005, I have broken my rule a little bit just because it made me laugh when I saw it. But with 3 matches and 3 wins, giving them 100% win-loss record, I know, that's done. It's Akabono and Bubba Ray Dudley. I should have probably checked to see if Devon was in there too. I assumed that he was. And it was a tag team thing. But just put that in your pipe and smoke it because it is amusing. If we go to someone who was actually having proper matches, it is Bobby Lashley. Now, technically he came in 13th, but again, throw away the nonsense there. He had 23 matches and 23 wins. So this is when Vince McMahon was totally obsessed with him, which I do get because he was a Haas. And then actually the guy that was sort of putting it in proper full time was John Cena. Of course, it's 2004. Get this though, it is 2005. 147 matches with 137 wins, giving him a win-loss ratio of 93.2%. Now, technically, he was 27th in the list, but I just waded through all the stupid stuff, even though that's the stuff that made me laugh the most. 2006, I did it again because with 3 matches and 3 wins, it was Dan Rodimer, who I won't lie, I don't even remember, and Deuce and Domino. Now, that's the reason I wanted to throw that in here. I thought Deuce and Domino were always treated like jokes, so it's probably on Heat or something like that, but this is the one that will totally blow your brain, although it does tie into the time, right? Because who was WWE trying to push? With 22 matches and 22 wins, giving them a 100% win-loss ratio, basically on the main roster. It was Vladimir Kozlov, right? That's what they were doing. In 2006, we were doing the, oh my gosh, evil foreign heel gimmick, which is so dumb. Then it all went bad after that match with Triple H. But let's not forget, Vladimir beat The Undertaker clean on that episode of SmackDown. I'm not joking. You can go see it right now. Which moves on to 2007, and I wanted to throw the Chris Jericho thing in there because 8 matches and 8 wins, but I'm pretty sure this is when he was just doing house shows, right? He just decided, I'm not going to do full-time wrestling on TV. I'm going to do house shows, which is actually really cool, because if you went to one of these, you probably popped like, oh my gosh, it's Chris Jericho. But we move on to the proper one for this one too. Vladimir Kozlov won again with 22 matches and 21 wins, giving him a win-loss percentage of 95.5%. So I haven't really passed the peak of his run, but Vince McMahon really wanted to get this guy over. So when you go back to the Roman Reigns experiment, you think, man, why didn't they not just drop it? This is why. Because when Vince McMahon had something that he wanted to try, he would just run it into the ground. And I remember watching all of this. I can tell you firsthand, he could have won 59 matches out of 74. It still wouldn't have worked because it was passé and past its time. 2008 is the greatest one too. Now, I kind of have to mention Ricky Ortiz because he did 6 matches and 6 wins, but 6, right? It's not a big deal. But with 39 matches, with 34 wins, was Primo. Now, once again, I tried to search for Epico, but maybe there was a problem with my spreadsheet. I couldn't find it. But that is an 87.2% win-loss record. And it gets even more better, because right below this is Ric Flair, with 22 matches and 19 wins, giving him an 86.4% win record. Now, of course, it's 2008. What was happening in 2008 in terms of Q1, the first half? Ric Flair was on his retirement tour, where if he did lose, he had to leave the WWE. So he got to WrestleMania, he lost to Shawn Michaels. I was there for that. It was super duper cool. And then, yes, he did retire and he came back. We don't have to talk about it, but that's why we got in there, which kind of annoyed me. We did not do that story properly. He probably should have won a world championship or something like that, but at least on his way out of WWE, technically, we did right by him, kinda. Now, 2009, Sheamus got called up to ECW. I totally forgot about that. So he technically tops the rankings because he got 3 matches and 3 wins because obviously Vince McMahon saw him too. I was like, oh my gosh, Dream Weaver. But actually, we go back to The Undertaker with this one, which is incredible. Throughout the year, he had 91 matches, 81 wins. That's an 89% win-loss ratio. Ain't nobody touching that, even though technically he was 31st on the list. But honestly, 2009, we just try everybody out. It's like one match. And by this point, I was like, I've done that joke to death. Let's not worry about it. But I suppose it is an interesting talking point because you have to protect that kind of a character. And at some points, people felt it went too much the other way. But ultimately, if you did beat him, like Vladimir Kozlov, probably going to get somewhat of a rub. 2010, ECW was still in full effect, so Bull Burchill got put there, and he had 4 matches and 4 wins before he got released. So he got released with a 100% win-loss ratio, so it goes to show wins do not matter in WWE. The one that I wanted to put in there, even though I probably should have picked somebody else, it's just so surreal to me now. Bret Hart. 10 wins, 9 losses, and that loss was a complete shenanigans schmoz fest, meaning he had a 90% win-loss record, and he was the United States champion. Now, I love Bret Hart. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. This run was, I don't want to say it's questionable at best because he deserved it, and he deserved to get that closure. But if you were going to say to me, should I watch any of these? The one at SummerSlam you should watch. That's because it's a multi-man match. Then it's also the one when we screwed over the Nexus. I wouldn't bother. 2011 is when we can actually start talking about the good stuff because we had chosen Edge as the guy we were going to push, so we pushed him properly. He had 48 matches, 46 wins, a win-loss record of 95.8%, which also ties into Sin Cara, who I wanted to throw in here too. 70 matches, 61 wins, 87.1%. Now, the Sin Cara experiment didn't work because apparently he had quite an ego backstage and, you know, he made a few mistakes, which is always going to run afoul of people. But I love the fact that Edge only lost 2 matches in 2011. That is just wonderful. That's how you push someone. Like sometimes people go, oh, well, you can't go too overly crazy with this person. It won't work. Well, it worked with Edge, and nowadays we look back and consider him one of the best wrestlers ever, and without the machine getting behind you like this, I don't think that he would have got there, and he deserved it too. That man is so damn good. So 2011 belonged to Edge. Not true. It belonged to CM Punk, but in terms of wins. 2012 is when NXT started to get big, so I wanted to throw my man Big E in there because I loved him. This is when we were pushing him as a super duper world champion down there, and he would pin people for a 5 count, and that's right. He had 29 matches and 28 wins, 96.6%. I guess the only one he did lose is when he lost the championship too, and we were doing very something similar with a dude of similar size on the main roster, because right behind him was Ryback. You always remember the Ryback push. At one point he was massively over. 129 matches, 122 wins with a 94.6% win-loss ratio. Now, it's crazy how much that fell off in 2013. But there is so much to that, especially because he got released a few years later. It's probably a different video for a different day. But the next time somebody says, we didn't give Ryback a chance, well, I kind of think we did. 2013, Sin Cara had gone right back up to the top of the list, but he had 9 matches and 9 wins. I think this is because they were just putting him in silly Billy matches where they thought, well, we paid a lot of money for Sin, so make sure he wins. When really the big dog of 2013 was John Cena. 143 matches, 136 wins, 95.1% win-loss ratio, and in that year, it's when people were, you know, Big Match John Cena lol, all of that kind of stuff had absolutely come to the forefront, and it's because he was being pushed, but it also helped turn him into a star. So you have to find that balance. I suppose there you could argue we did go too far the other way, but it still turned John Cena into the #1 guy and then some. 2014, again, NXT was running wild, as was Hideo Itami. I mean, talk about something that did go wrong. He got 25 matches down there with 24 wins, which is a 96% win-loss ratio. And given who was doing something similar on the main roster, who had also come from NXT, it was Rusev. 40 matches, 37 wins, 92.5% win-loss ratio. So I'm sure Itami, now Kenta obviously, was looking at this going, well, hi. They called Rusev up and they're doing the similar thing for him down, they was doing in NXT, up on Raw and SmackDown. Maybe someone will do that for me too. Well, they didn't. 2015 is when we get super duper excited, and I may even put this in the thumbnail. I don't know. But Asuka, obviously, was going on her amazing run in NXT. 24 matches, 24 wins, 100% win-loss ratio, and we'll get to next year when you'll see why this is so good. But on the main roster proper was John Cena again. 136 matches, 125 wins, 91.9%. So really, as you were going to see, if we were going to battle out who did destroy this decade, it is between Asuka and John Cena, because look at this. We move forward to 2016. Asuka, 117 matches, 112 wins, 95.7% 59% win-loss ratio. So this is actually quite nice to look upon, because sometimes I think back like, man, we didn't really use Asuka in the right way. But maybe we just didn't use her in the right way on the big occasions. But overall, she was absolute badass, which she should do. She is one of the greatest wrestlers ever. I don't care what you say. I've never seen a bad Asuka match. But also, because I'm a goober, as you know, I also put No Way Jose in there. He was having quite the run down in NXT. 16 matches, 15 wins, 93.8%. And then he did get called up. He did nothing and he got released. You just have to enjoy every day as it comes. 2017, it just kept continuing. Asuka, 95 matches, 93 wins, and 97.9% win-loss ratio. I love the Empress of Tomorrow. Or you think by now she'd be the Empress. What are we waiting for? And of course, this is when we went super duper big with Brock Lesnar and his World Championship run. But he wasn't on TV that much, which did cause controversy. Again, you can go back and find loads of videos about this. But 14 matches, 13 wins, 92.9% win-loss ratio. So in 2017, it was dominated by Asuka and Brock Lesnar. I mean, that's just totally wild. 2018, Ronda Rousey debuted, 48 matches, 48 wins, 100% win-loss record. Nobody got close to this, no one. You know the story, it was never going to happen. She was a super duper megastar, and in many ways did help massively with what WWE were doing with women, although they were still way after the fact. But down in NXT, the Viking Raiders, although they were known as, are they War Machine or did they change from War Machine? The point is, Eric and Ivar, who we know them now, were being booked as killers. 58 matches, 57 wins, 98.3% win-loss ratio. So remember when they got called up as the Viking Experience? This is why people were mad. You're like, wait a minute, you got two dominant hosses here and you called them after a Disney ride. 2019 too, I'm going to call the Vikings up again, because down at NXT they had 27 matches and 27 wins. 100% win-loss ratio. So Triple H knew what he had with these guys. And look what they do even when they're in singles competition. Even today, people are like, oh, they're really good. Like it's some kind of surprise. But it was Ronda, who was still dominating. 23 matches, 21 wins, 91.3% win-loss ratio. By this point, people were getting mad at her. But I do get it. She did have all this star power to her. And you didn't just want to throw that out the window. And sometimes not losing helps. Once again, look at Goldberg. But it did help in 2020 because Becky Lynch was a made woman by then. And she had 17 matches and 17 wins with an 100% win-loss ratio. And let's not forget, that's when she went to have her kid. And she gave her belt up to Asuka. And this is good. Turn her into a megastar. But there was also Mansoor in the background who had 15 matches and 15 wins, 100% record. And again, he just came and went and came and went. But I love Mansoor. I love everything those two guys have done on the indie scene. And if they do get signed by Ring of Honor, which is the rumor, I will do the dance of joy. 2021, John Cena was back for his run and it's 16 matches and 15 wins for a 93.8% win-loss ratio. But, I mean, it was a full-time thing, but obviously he was choosing his matches, which he should have done. So actually, it was Keith Lee that dominated in 2021. 27 matches, 24 wins, 88.9% win-loss ratio. But it kind of goes to show why these things can be a bit misleading. WWE was still treating Keith Lee in a bit of a weird way, and that became a whole talking point. But actually, when you look at the things he was doing, he was winning more than he was losing by quite a lot. 2022, and of course, Cody Rhodes had exploded back in WWE. 25 matches for 25 wins for a 100% win-loss record. But do you know who else had refound his feet? Oh, I guess just come back to. It was Braun Strowman with 34 matches and 33 wins, which gave him a 97.1% win-loss ratio. And that is how you should treat Braun. Doesn't matter what you think about him. If you have a man who's a monster, probably shouldn't be losing all the time. 2023, and it's all about Cody Rhodes again. Again, the whole American Nightmare thing had exploded. 113 matches, 108 wins for a 95.6% win-loss ratio. But also, Rhea Ripley was right there with a very similar thing in many ways, but cut in half. 58 matches, 54 wins, 93.1%. So, you know, can say what you want about WWE's PR, but it is the same old nonsense. If they do want to get you over, you're going to win a lot of matches. And then we get to 2024, and of course, we've still got 6 months to go, but we can revisit this at the end of the year. Obafemi right now is crushing in NXT, 20 matches and 20 wins, 100%. He is flawless, but Cody Rhodes is still going. 52 matches, 50 wins, 96.2%, and there's a very good chance he holds that until WrestleMania 41. Something to chat about. So there you go. No more arguing. So if you want to go to 2008 and say that Ricky Ortiz was the greatest wrestler of that year, you can, because he had a 100% win-loss ratio. I don't know why I enjoyed doing this, but I did. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts. Maybe I've got something wrong here. I probably have. My gosh, it's difficult to get statistics because I'm an idiot. Click the bell, ding, ding, notification gang. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and smash that video on the screen. It's what YouTube loves the most. If you're into fitness too, make sure you go to grillermind.com/Simon and use the code Simon. You get 10% across the entire saw, and it's worldwide shipping as well, so it doesn't matter where you are, you can get these supplements. Patreon.com/Simon316, Simon316 on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. I'm making a bunch of dumb videos on there right now. They're all 35 seconds to a minute long, so if you want to come laugh at wrestling with me, you can do it over there. Simon Miller on Cameo to get personalized videos, and it's Pro Wrestling Tees and Samsung Athletics if you want to get some merchandise. Otherwise, we're done. It's a dumb video, which means I enjoyed it. Goodbye.